Good morning. May we start? So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dimitris Apostolopoulos. I am project manager in the municipality of Vari Voula Vouliagmeni, and I would like to welcome you to AI4Gov Open Day hosted by our municipality with the support of our project partners. Before proceeding with the presentation, I have the honor to present to you the mayor of our city, Mr. Grigoris Konstantelos, who would like to make a short welcome speech through video.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, good morning. It is a great pleasure to welcome you to the AI4Gov Open Day, hosted by the municipality of Vari Voula Vouliagmeni, with the invaluable support of our project partners. As mayor, I am honored to address such a distinguished audience gathered here today to explore the transformative power or artificial intelligence in public governance. Our municipality has embarked on a comprehensive digital transformation strategy aiming to evolve into a truly intelligent city. By leveraging cutting-edge technologies, we have already enhanced our efficiency in key areas such as waste management, energy optimization, citizen services, and urban development. A major milestone in this journey has been the introduction of 105 digital services enabling citizens and businesses to interact with the municipality faster, more efficient, and at a low cost. At the core of our vision lies the integration of artificial intelligence and big data to tackle operational challenges such as automating routine tasks, digitization, historical records, and optimizing resources allocation. Recognizing the immense potential of AI, our municipality has been an active participant into the AI4Gov project since 2023. Funded by the EU Horizon program, AI4Gov is dedicated to empowering public authorities to make evidence-based decisions while fostering citizens' engagement and trust in democratic processes. At the same time, the project addresses crucial concerns, including bias, discrimination, and the ethical use of AI in governance. Today's event will delve into these critical and timely issues, highlighting the latest advancements and real-world application of AI and big data. Through experts' presentations, insightful discussions, and best practices sharing, we aim to shed light on how these technologies can shape the future of public services. I encourage you to take full advantage of today's program. After the presentations, I invite you to visit our exhibition stands where we can explore firsthand the innovative solutions developed within AI4Gov and other groundbreaking projects in this field. In closing, I would like to express my heartfelt appreciation to our project partners for their dedication and contributions in making this event a success. I wish you all an inspiring and productive day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I would like to pass the floor to Mr. Spiros Borotis, our project coordinator, who is going to make a short introduction of our project. Thank you very much. Spiros, the floor is yours.
Good morning from my side as well. I would like to welcome everybody to this open day of the AI4Gov project, which we tend to call it, at least between us, the AI4Gov experience, because it provides a series of experience to various stakeholders, as we shall see at a glance in this presentation and in detail, in the next presentations. So, okay now. Well, most of us have heard interesting numbers regarding artificial intelligence. There are also some market data indicating its potential, like the fact that more than 13% of European small and above companies, very small and above companies, excuse me, use AI technologies. This happens mostly for text mining. Second, there is a great potential of expansion, and lately we see studies recognizing that companies that use AI tools that take into account the ethical considerations, transparency, bias-free, and security will identify in the future additional value to the services they offer to their customers, and improvement in their efficiency, in their effectiveness, the achievement of their business goals, etc., etc. On the other hand, excuse me, there are various concerns regarding AI. We hear people saying that, okay, it provides me an answer, but I don't know what is hidden behind that. Moreover, the data that the AI models are based on, are they prepared properly so as to be to provide valid answers? So, in other words, is there a bias? Is there a prejudice? Especially these concerns come up when we have to do with the public and governmental decisions. So, the AI4Gov experience comes to cure these issues. Various partners all over Europe have collaborated. This collaboration started in 2023, excuse me, and will last till the end of this year, so as to cure these topics. The focus of the project is on particular issues. We do not develop only a few more technologies that are bias-free and following ethical guidelines. We include the human in the loop so as to assure that everything happens, supports human rights and democratic values. We also provide tools and support decision making, taking into account the idea of bias-free. So we offer tools to assure that what comes out is bias-free. We follow strictly the legislation and the European regulations like the AI Act, the GDPR, and we have developed tools that go beyond these legislations. We support policy making. We support them through processes and AI-enabled tools so as to enhance transparency, to enhance security, to decrease or even omit discrimination and bias. And last, we provide tools, technologies, as we shall see in the next slide, and frameworks, guidelines for this purpose. Now, the key outcomes. There are some tools, first of all, and a framework, a governing framework, or organizing all this offer. There is the holistic regulatory framework, details of which we shall see later, which regulates the use of the AI technologies. It is supported by a tool that helps stakeholders to identify their position and what they have to do so as to be compliant with the regulations. Next, we offer the Bias Detector Toolkit. It is a tool, a technology that helps you to identify bias, I have to run, and cure it before supporting the decision-making based on the AI tools. We provide a one-stop shop, the visualization workbench, where every stakeholder can go inside and use the tools. We provide tools for explainability, the XAI and SACs. We provide a separate tool to support decision makers policy on the policy level, so the policy recommendation toolkit. And last, we provide training through open courses. So at a glance, this is the process followed in the AI4Gov. So we start with the data. We provide services for normalization, uploading, retrieving, removing bias, etc., etc. Then these data are fed into AI algorithms to develop results. Next, this information goes to the policy recommendation toolkit, which can be used by the relevant stakeholders so as to develop policy recommendations. These results are accompanied with explanations and interpretations through sophisticated XAI tools. And last, there is the visualization tool where we see the results in a beautiful manner and we can include them in our presentations and various other studies. And last, this is critical, in most of these parts we employ blockchain, and this in order to enhance trust, transparency, to security, data integrity, to reduce costs, to eliminate intermediaries, and for various other reasons. We apply these technologies and services in 3 countries, in 8 case studies. There are 2 in Spain, in the Deputación de Badajoz. These have to do with sustainability in the water cycle management. So we have drinking water and sewage water. The next set of cases is in Slovenia. So we have 4 use cases over there, oriented to the sustainability development goals and other related case studies. And last, we have in Greece the municipality of Varivula Vouliagmeni with 2 use cases, one on parking tickets monitoring and one on waste management. Thank you for your attention. In the end of this of the first session of the presentations, you can find in the back the stands where you can enjoy your AI4Gov experience, the different tools and services, and all people implementing this effort are here to answer you all of your questions. Thank you. Now, I would like to invite Mr. George Magnas from the University of Piraeus. Thank you, George.
Thank you, Spiro. Thank you very much for the great presentation and introduction to the AI4Gov project and the different instances and perspectives that we want to bring into the project. At first, I would like to thank you all for your participation, for joining this second open day of our project. It's a great honor to have you all here in the room with us in order to see how the AI4Gov project seeks to impact in the modern digital societies and what are the innovations that we want to bring into the European landscape. My name is George Manias. I'm from the University of Piraeus. I have the honor to be also the technical coordinator of the AI4Gov project and follow all the technical developments that our partners, our esteemed partners, have managed to implement throughout this whole life cycle of the year. Now, in my presentation, we will discuss, as also Spiros mentioned, the trustworthy and reliable AI and leveraging the potentials of it in the modern digital societies is a key aspect. So let's see how we can democratize our digital societies through trusted and reliable applications. So in my presentation, we will discuss and we will delve into the aspects of data and AI, the challenges of AI in the modern societies, digital societies, the bias, where we will see where bias is incorporated in the overall workflow of the utilization of AI approaches. We will discuss the ethical aspects, the ethical challenges that raise from the development and utilization of AI, the current trends, and of course we will see how the AI4Gov project seeks to tackle the challenges of providing trustworthy and reliable AI. So, starting with, of course, our societies, our digital world is overwhelmed by a cascade of data. We all know that the data right now are a valuable asset for the companies, for hospitals, for governments, for policymakers, and etc. Right now, of course, we are referring to an era of big data, where we have vast, complex collections of several different data in several different formats derived from divergent sources. So this poses also challenges with regards to harmonizing, transforming, processing, and analyzing all this divergent data. And of course, these data are characterized, let's say, by the 5 Vs. Of course, you will see also that there are 7 Vs, 8 Vs, but the main, let's say, characteristics of this data are, let's say, that they are characterized by velocity, high volume, variety, of course, value and veracity. And just to give you also some numbers, as you can see here in this slide, during this year, the worldwide production of data will reach 175 zettabytes. So especially during the last 20 years, we have an exponential growth in the production of data. So in order all of us to leverage the information and the actionable knowledge that can be derived out of this data, we have to proceed with the utilization of emerging technologies. And of course, there is an, let's say, connection between big data and AI. AI cannot be existed without data. Okay, so in order to take advantage of the full potential of artificial intelligence, in order to create new and improved methods for the data analysis, we have to leverage the high volume and the high velocity of data that exist in our modern societies, in order also to customize and optimize the performance of the predictive models and provide accurate results and actionable insights in the policymakers and in the end users. But of course, right now we are moving from a data-driven, let's say, insights to AI-oriented and AI-driven insights, because right now we are discussing more and more about smart agents, AI-based agents, multi-agent architectures, where we will have several different agents based on LLMs and other emerging technologies that will collaborate in order to provide meaningful insights. But, of course, all this power comes also with great challenges and also with big responsibilities that especially all of us, the AI developers, the AI researchers, should have in their minds, should take into consideration in order to tackle them and provide trustworthy and reliable AI. And of course, as you can see also here, there are plenty of discussions, plenty of problems and challenges that come and derived from the development and utilization of artificial intelligence. For example, here in this slide, you can see several articles with regards to bias in AI, bias in data, dangers with regards to how demographic bias or race bias is incorporated in the utilization of artificial intelligence. So, in order to make use of artificial intelligence in the overall decision-making approach and the policy-making, we have to provide transparent, trustworthy, and fair and responsible artificial intelligence models in order to avoid and tackle the challenges of bias, inequality, and discrimination. So, in order to do that, let's have a look in the overall AI life cycle. This is a simple workflow. This is a simple pipeline of how AI can be incorporated and utilized in the modern systems. So always we start from the collection of data. After that, of course, we have the processing of the data, the transformation, harmonization, and of course, then we move to the development of the model. Development of the AI models in order to take full leverage the data that we have pre-processed and etc. This is an iterative cycle because always we talk about evaluation and validation of the performance of the models. Okay, and after that, after we have the high performance and the deployment of the AI models, of course we have feedback loops, we have integration engagement with the end user in order to provide more contextual-based, let's say, information with regards to the results that are being produced by the AI. This is the typical workflow, a simple workflow. Can you identify in which exact step bias is incorporated in this pipeline? In every step, very correct, very correct. As you can see here, starting from the beginning, where we have the collection of the data, bias is incorporated here, because bias exists in our modern world, exists in the data that we are collecting with regards to the demographics, with regards to rates, and etc. So we have to be aware about the bias that is incorporated in our data set. And we have to implement services in order to assess the incompleteness of data, the demographic bias that maybe can be incorporated in our data set in order to tackle this. After that, of course, bias can be incorporated in the preparation and processing of the data. If the data science will not apply trustworthy and reliable techniques in order to provide the cleaning of the data, in order to provide the transformation of the data, bias can also be incorporated here. After that, of course, bias is incorporated in the algorithms. We have to provide, we have to develop fair and trusted AI models that do not incorporate bias discrimination in the final results, do not favor one class, let's say, over another. So again, the AI developers should be aware about the bias that maybe can be incorporated in the overall development and utilization of the models in order to provide fair and trusted results that do not favor one category over another. And of course, we have also to take into consideration underrepresented populations, also in the overall analysis, always, for example, in the healthcare domain, we have to take into account the whole range of the population, the different aspects of the individuals, the different characteristics, in order to provide fair and trustworthy results. And finally, bias is incorporated also in the operations, where the end users interact with the AI, because this is a feedback loop. And of course, we are humans. So sometimes we may incorporate also bias, of course, without knowing this, or maybe with knowing this, in the feedback loops that we provide in the final results of the AI models. So as you can see, bias is a major challenge in the overall life cycle. And we have to be aware about this in order to raise our awareness and tackle the bias in every specific steps. So the ethical challenges and the ethical aspects of AI that raise out of this in order to provide trustworthy and transparent AI and how to mitigate them, initially we speak about regulatory frameworks. European Commission, during the last 5-6 years, starting from the GDPR and after, is in a constant, let's say, a war with regards to legislations, regulations, with regards to data, with regards to the development of artificial intelligence. So all of us, we have to be aware and to be in alignment with the regulations of the European Commission. After that, of course, we have the protection of the sensitive and personal data. We have to provide strict measures in order to protect the individual's personal data, in order not to raise any challenge with regards to processing and analyzing personal data from the individuals. Of course, after that, we have the transparency in the algorithms. We have to provide transparent, interpretable, and explainable results. The results that derived from the LLMs, from the AI models, should be also well interpreted and well explained to the end user in order to be aware about the chain of thought, in order to be aware about how we have came up with the final results, in order the whole pipeline and the result that is being provided in the overall policy-making life cycle to be as transparent as possible. And of course, as also Spiros mentioned, human in the loop. Human cannot be excluded from the overall loop with regards to assessing the results, assessing the different steps in order to identify really on where bias can be incorporated, where false approaches have been incorporated in order to tackle this early on. And in order also to showcase to you some insights from several reports, from several discussions, forums, and etc., here you can see some insights from the World Economic Forum, IBM's Building Future-Ready Governments, and Deloitte's GovTech Trends 2025 report. And in this slide, we can see that the digital transformation and modernization of the policy-making domain of the modern digital societies comes with 4 pillars. Initially, data-driven and AI-oriented policy-making. After that, artificial intelligence in public services and advancements in generative AI in the context of multi-agent approaches and etc. Also, Professor Soldatos later in his presentation will tackle specifically the challenge of generative AI in the policy making. And after that, we have also blockchain and cybersecurity, really hot topics in the context of the modern digital societies. Also, blockchain is also tackled in the context of the project. Later in the stands, you will have the opportunity to see how blockchain has been integrated with the wallet, a citizen-centric application in order to have fair and trusted voting system. And finally, inclusive digital environments. Inclusive digital environments, leaving no one behind, including the citizens, including the policymakers, the end users in the overall life cycle of the AI. And finally, the main pillars of our project is to safeguard and foster the fundamental elements, to build upon applicable laws, protocols, and regulations, to list, explore, and remove bias in the AI and big data, to provide enhanced policies that are easy to use, interpreted, explainable, discrimination-free and unbiased, and of course to raise awareness and trust of stakeholders in the overall AI. And these are the main pillars. This is the intersection of AI4Gov, with regards to AI and citizens, ethical AI, AI applications. All this is the intersection and the heart of the AI4Gov project. And we invite you to explore these aspects and these perspectives also with us. Feel free to engage with us, to raise questions, and of course to see the stands at the back. And if not now, then when? Now is the time in order to to address the challenges of artificial intelligence. Right now, we are still in the beginning. We are still in the infancy. It's time to tackle the challenges, to identify the challenges, and take measures in order to tackle this. Thank you very much. Let's catch up. Feel free also to follow me also in the social media, LinkedIn, and I would be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, George. There were very interesting issues regarding various aspects of AI that were detailed by our colleague here that supervene a lot our experience with the ChatGPT, for example, and these help us to understand what is hidden behind. So, going one step further and understanding these how these are framed in based on regulations and the lessons learned, I would like to invite Mrs. Danai Kirku from Villabs to give a presentation on the AI4Gov framework for ethical governance. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and welcome. Thank you for being here with us today. My name is Danai Kirku, and today, with my colleague Georgia Panagiotidu from Aristotle University, we will present you from Black Box to Transparent AI, AI4Gov's framework for ethical governance. So, we all use AI in our professional lives and in our everyday lives, but we have a lot of questions: how it works, how it makes decisions, and if these decisions are made to our best interest. If public governance should rely on AI tools to make decisions about the citizens, if AI can replace us and jeopardize our work, and at the end, which is something that we saw during drafting the AI Act, is AI advancing too quickly for us to regulate it properly? So in AI4Gov, what we try to do is to bring together the regulations and the ethics and the values that we want embedded in AI tools in order for them to be fair for us. So we create a framework that complies with every regulation that we have, at least up to this point, such as GDPR and the EU AI Act, but we also embed values such as freedom and equality, democracy, and the human rights. So today we will start with presenting a bit the holistic regulatory framework and the tools that we created based on this framework on how to do the self-assessment on your tools for ethical and transparent AI. Starting from the holistic regulatory framework, very briefly, there is a lot of research inside it. There is a lot of literature and reading that we needed to complete it, but at the end, it's a comprehensive framework designed to regulate the use of AI technologies in governance. It's ethical, it's transparent, and it's compliant with all the applicable laws that we currently have on AI systems. It has 15 key dimensions and specifications that guide the governance of AI systems, and it has a multi-level mixed methodology. I will not bore you with the theory. Georgia will present the tools in a few slides. So, on a very high level, on the specifications, we have, of course, human oversight, in the loop, on the loop, in control. We have compliance with ethical guidelines, such as fairness, respect on human rights. We have the data governance with informed consent, privacy, anonymization, and encryption. Explainability and transparency with clear explanations to citizens about how the tool operates. Redress mechanisms for the users to provide feedback. And auditing to continuously monitoring AI regulations and have the best quality of the framework at any given moment. Now, based on all of this work, we produced the self-assessment tools, so I will pass the floor to Georgia, who is online with us today, to present the rest of the slides.
Good morning. Good morning from Aristotle University of Thessaloniki. Good morning from Thessaloniki. Is it possible that I could see the slides because I cannot share?
No. Sorry.
The share stopped.
Could we have both? The video and the slides? No.
Okay, the slides.
The slides are more important.
Yeah. Okay. Να βάλουμε τα slides
Let's proceed with the slides.
Ναι, ναι, εντάξει. Δεν μπορεί. Georgia, can you share?
No, I cannot share because it's in your presentation. The slides are in your presentation, so.
Αυτή είναι, αυτό το slide είναι.
Άρα πρέπει να κάνουμε share αυτό εδώ.
Ναι. Ας μην τα βλέπει.
Excuse us for this technical problem. This work.
Πρέπει να κάνει share εκείνη.
Δεν μπορεί να κάνει από το κινητό.
Δεν γίνεται. Ωραία. Εντάξει. Όχι, δεν μπορεί τι δει. Αν μπει στο YouTube.
While we try to solve this technical issue, just to catch up, I would like to clearly state that the HRF that was just presented by Danai, this goes beyond the current tools of the European Commission, so the GDPR checker, the AI Act checker, we have included everything of these regulations, and we go beyond. So what we give back to the Commission due to their funding is something that it is over and above their tools regarding the ethical examination, let's say, as encompassed by the AI Act tool. Can you continue?
Georgia, can you continue or should I?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. Just
Thank you.
Danai, just run through the slides as I
Yes,
talk.
of course.
So, Danai, thank you. You presented the HRF and the reason why we created this regulatory framework, a set of guidelines, a set of rules in order to create ethical and transparent AI tools. So the next step is to give a tangible form to this HRF so that it can be used, it can be applied in every day of the developer's life cycle of creating these tools. This step was to create the self-assessment tools, to develop a framework, a set of tools that adopt practices that enable responsible algorithm development. So this is the objective. Now let's see what has been created. The created tool is a questionnaire. Maybe we can move in the next slide so that we can see the questionnaire. Is a questionnaire. It is based on the dimensions, the 15 categories of compliance that were created from the holistic regulatory framework of AI4Gov. It consists of 52 questions. So the user has to reply to these 52 questions, mainly developed as in Likert scale form from 1 to 7, or to binary questions 0, 1, yes or no. So this set of questions, as combined in a scoring system that has been created, can reflect if the core of the HRF has been achieved in developing a tool. So we try to go from the 15 dimensions of HRF to 15 categories of questions. As you can see now, these are the 15 dimensions: the compliance to the regulations, fairness, non-discrimination and inclusivity, human oversight, a human-centered design, issues of privacy, explainability and transparency, as George very nicely presented in his presentation before, auditing, continuous sessions of monitoring, accountability, safety and security, of course, claims, redress, public engagement, awareness, societal benefit, well-being, and sustainability. So these are the 15 core dimensions of HRF, and these are the reflected 15 categories of the questions, of the 52 questions. So somebody that gets to answer to the questionnaire, in the end, he comes along. This is the sample view of the questionnaire, the basic idea, the set of questions under a different dimension, and the answering in the Likert scale from 1 to 7. And then comes the scoring method. So for the scoring method, we try to normalize everything to the range from 0 to 1, so that the Likert scale can be combined with the yes-no answers. And from, let's say, a more synthesized and more sophisticated calculation, the user gets a compliance score level. The compliance score level can vary from 0 to 40%, so this is a non-compliant system that has been developed. From 40 to 70% is a partial compliance, so the user comes with feedback given from the assessment tool for enhancements and improvements, and visualized, of course, charts so that they can understand better the situation. And the 70 to 100% score implies a compliant system, but then again, a feedback follows this 70 to 100% scale so that every aspect is covered with advice for improvement and enhancements. So this is the scoring mechanism, and this is what is the final output. Well, closing up, how can we ensure that AI remains a tool for progress, not a tool for control? This is the basic idea. This is the basic aim behind all the activities and all the processes and the things that AI4Gov develops. So an ethical AI is shared responsibility. And as AI is evolving and our governance frameworks should evolve as well, the AI4Gov tries to become a step towards a transparent and ethical, regulated with guidelines AI. So I, like a call to action, I invite you to use the AI4Gov tools in order to achieve transparency, to achieve ethical AI. And I would like to invite you to join us into building this future and use the tools that are created from our project. Thank you, and we are here to answer all your questions.
Thank you very much, both ladies. In the end, we shall have a dedicated questions and answer session where you can place all your questions after you have the complete overview with our offer. Now, okay, let's go from theory to practice now. What we have described in the previous presentations are applied in practice, as I saw in one of my slides. Now let's go to one of the application sites. It is the municipality of Vari Voula Vouliagmeni with two use case scenarios, and I would like to invite Mr. Dimitris Apostolopoulos from the municipality to give a presentation on that.
Thank you, Spiros. So, before proceeding with the pilot use case, I would like to say a few words about our municipality and the tourism policy pursuit. Vari Voula Vouliagmeni is a coastal municipality close to the center of Athens International Airport and Piraeus Port. Has got a strong tourism profile, as it has got advanced tourism infrastructure, places of interest, and recreational opportunities offered. It has got a well-defined tourism policy based on the principles of sustainability, as it takes full account of the current and future economic, social, environmental impacts, while addressing the needs of visitors, industry, environment, and local community. One of the key objectives of this policy is the provision of high quality, effective, efficient infrastructure and services to the visitors, tourists, and the businesses of the tourism sector. However, the municipality has to address some challenges posed by the increased flows of tourists and visitors, especially during the summer and the weekend, that exert pressure on the infrastructure and operations of the municipality, raising the need to adapt its policies and optimize the tourism policy in specific. This is where the AI4Gov project comes to use an holistic approach that facilitates policymakers on the development of evidence-based policies, increase the trust and engagement of citizens in democratic processes, and finally, improve skills and capacity building. Let's now proceed with the use cases. 2 use cases have been identified by our municipality with the aid of technical partners and the project partners. The first one is about traffic management, where 3 tools have been developed. Those tools use and analyze data from traffic tickets that are issued by the state and municipal police. It predicts traffic violations and generates a map with the areas where the type of traffic violation selected is more likely to occur, thus allowing the policymakers to allocate municipal police resources in an optimum way. The second tool predicts traffic violations, especially related to road safety, such as running a red light or stop sign, and generates a map with high and low risk roads, thus allowing the visitors and tourists to find the safest route when visiting the town. The third AI tool predicts traffic congestion and parking availability and generates a map with the roads of high and low traffic, thus allowing visitors and tourists to find the shortest route or parking space when visiting the town. As regards the second use case, waste management, 2 tools have been developed. They use data and analyze data from smart bins. The first one predicts the fill levels of smart bins and suggests the optimal route for garbage truck to collect waste, thus allowing the policymakers to allocate the municipal staff of waste management directorate in an optimal way, while allowing the minimizing of collection time and fuel consumption. The second tool regarding this use case predicts the fill levels of smart bins again and informs citizens and businesses of tourism sector about the exact time of collection of their bins by generating a detailed explanation with the aid of a bot. Also, it allows them to give feedback back to the policymakers. Apart from these tools, an AI tool very useful for monitoring of visitor and tourist flows is also takes data and uses data provided from the Greek Ministry of Tourism, as well as data from the smart bins located in our municipality. It predicts, as I said before, visitor and tourist flows and generates a map with the clustered areas, thus allowing the policymakers to create and enhance the corresponding policies. The final tool that has been developed is a policy recommendation toolkit, which is an AI tool for creating optimal policies by using KPIs, key performance indicators, to measure the achievement of the strategic and operational goals and objective sets. It is also a toolkit that enables the participation of all stakeholders in the decision-making process and the formulation of municipalities' policies through voting, which is very interesting, as well as the approval and adoption of policies by other municipalities and public authorities using blockchain technologies that ensure maximum security. Closing my presentation, I would like to point out some key objectives, key expected outcomes and impacts, which are the establishment of organizational culture and processes while reducing the time for developing evidence-based policies, improve transparency and governance, support the success of relevant municipal strategies and policies, increase security, safety, quality of life of citizens and visitors, raising awareness regarding AI, bias discrimination, as well as improve the skills and capacity building. Finally, increase engagement of stakeholders and their trust to democratic processes and decisions made by the municipality, foster democratic European values and rights, and finally, support the development of local economy, especially of tourism sector. Thank you very much for your attention. Please visit our beautiful town. Please follow this link. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, Dimitris. So we just saw a very beautiful presentation with admiring the use of AI by a governmental organization, with including the citizen on the loop continuously, and not only in the time of voting every 4 years. So, and the citizen is able to give feedback, and having the governmental body to take decisions and modify their strategic planning on the fly continuously. Thank you. Now, according to the schedule, we shall have 10 minutes for questions. So we are here to answer anything related to the 4 presentations. Do we have a microphone?
Good morning. From me, it's Konstantina Tsakopoulou from the Ministry of Tourism. We have been working together with the municipality of Vari in this project, and thank you all. Your presentations were great and insightful. I would like to ask Dimitris, you have conducted some very successful workshops on the use of these of AI tools in the municipality, and you have involved your employees there, your workers. So what is your feedback from these workshops? Do they feel ready to use the tools? Are there any concerns on this?
Thank you very much. Yes, as you said, we have conducted a validation workshop where the involvement of stakeholders, especially the staff, was very high. They find the tools that they are very supportive for their work. However, they are skeptical about some issues regarding especially privacy and data protection from the use of these tools. However, they find those tools very innovative, cutting edge. However, they feel that there are some issues regarding also the accuracy and the maturity of these technologies. In general, they find it very useful for their work, everyday work, and they would like to adapt them and use them.
The lady, the microphone is... okay, thank you.
Thank you for this presentation. I'm really looking forward to hearing about all of the projects because I see so much overlap. I'm Elizabeth, I'm from the KT4D project. And I would like to bring 2 issues maybe, and not questions for you just to answer, because I believe there's not a direct answer, but for us to discuss or think about during the rest of the day. I think there's one thing that when we're looking about ethically developing AI, we're very good at looking at the process of development. We can think of tools, how to increase the betterness, the ethical betterness of the tool in the development process, but then once it is implemented into the world, it becomes static. So I'm wondering if you have thought about this in your project and how you're thinking about when you're thinking about bias or transparency in the actual use of the technology and not so much in the development. Then also we have these monolithic terms of transparency or bias, and we just have to make transparency, and we have to take away bias. And both of those things are so processual. They're not something you just do, especially when you think about taking away bias. Is so culturally implicit what bias exists or what it's meant, and we don't have the educational system in software development at the moment where we're capable of understanding what biases are and to be culturally aware in the places where these technologies are going to be implemented. So just to open up that conversation.
Very valid points. Thank you very much for raising these two issues. I would like to start with the first one that you mentioned about how dynamic is this? Because, okay, we develop some tools, we develop some models, but after that, do we recalibrate them? Do we validate them in the everyday use of them? This is why we need also the feedback mechanism. We need also the human in the loop, especially on the final step, in order to provide concrete feedback with regards to how accurate are the results. Moreover, after the advent of the LLMs and the wide use of them, also specific metrics, specific measurements have been came up with regards to hallucinations, with regards to bias that may be incorporated on the final results, on the final responses of the LLMs. And this is both from technical perspective, but also for creating the feedback mechanism that is needed, in order also the user to have the power to kind of recalibrate the utilization of the model, to recalibrate the performance, the final results, and etc. So this is an overall cycle, let's say, dynamic cycle, that we have to be aware in order to incorporate on this. And also to kind of link your first and second topics, raise awareness is the key. Raise awareness, as I mentioned also, all of us, we should be aware about the incorporation of bias in the different steps. And the data scientists, the AI developers, the AI researchers, do not only care about writing their programs, right, but developing everything with a fair and reliable sense. And also, one of the key aspects that we identified also in the context of the project is the incorporation of situational aware explainability, a novel approach that was introduced by IBM. IBM is one of the major pioneers, of course, as you know, in the overall technological landscape, and we had the opportunity to have them as partners in the context of the project. So they came up with this novel approach of how we can create a chain of thought and explain all the different steps of how the results have been produced, in order to tackle the second topic that you mentioned with regards to bias and transparency on the overall cycle. But of course, plenty of discussions can follow, and we are together in a democratic, let's say, cluster. Our projects have joined forces, and we would be more than happy to see how we can progress, how we can impact, and how we can address jointly all these issues. Because we are not competitors, our projects are not competitors, rather than we have to join forces, join knowledge, in order to create added value and bring impact on the European and international landscape.
Also, regarding the point for the cultural issues and the education on this, of course, this is something we cannot solve in the context of one European project. It's something that we have to work on a lot. What we try to do, because we have created training for the use cases, and it's open for everyone else to see it, which is from JSI, from another for one of the pilots actually, and also developers in the project. And one of the main things in the first training is exactly what is bias, what is discrimination, So the terminology that sometimes is missing for people to understand then what we mean when we say that data can be biased or AI can create a discrimination or reinforce existing issues in our society. So from our side, at least for now, what we try to do is to inform and raise awareness, as it was mentioned, to anyone either involved in the project or anyone else that is interested in such topics. Thank you.
Thank you. We can accept one more question as the time passes. So, lady, back. The microphone, please.
Thank you. My question is for Mr. Apostolopoulos from the municipality. You mentioned that your tool gives you the opportunity to identify the safest roads, and this information is provided to citizens, right? How is this information provided to citizens? Through an application or something like that?
Yes, there will be an application where they can, let's say, find the safest route. They can identify low and high risk roads and the parking spots as well available in the town.
So this application is ready or will it be developed?
It will be developed by the end of the project, which ends at the end of this year. So we will say that it will not fully develop for the citizens because the project is innovation and research action.
Okay.
So it is, let's say, at the stage of validation right now, but after the end of the project, the municipality will seek how this, let's say, application could be developed, optimized, in order to be ready for operational use and for the use of, for the sake of citizens.
So your goal is to actually provide this application, not just test it for the purposes of the project.
After the end of the project, this application will be developed further in order to be ready for use.
Okay, great.
But by the end of the project, it will be tested, fully tested and validated by the municipality and the citizens as well.
Perfect, clear. And another question about the waste bins. You mentioned that somehow you count which bins are full. How do you do that? Through sensors?
Yes, we've got smart bins in our municipality with sensors. We've got also garbage trucks that weigh the smart bins. So we've got an online, let's say, management and monitoring of those online. So we've got the ability, the opportunity through the AI4Gov project and the tools provided to make predictions made to historical data in order to, let's say, facilitate the decision-making process.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you as well. So now we can proceed to the second part of the session with the invited speakers. According to the agenda, we had 3 presentations. The first presentation of Mr. Roberto Isibor, due to a personal last-minute issue, is will not be conducted. So another last-minute stage. I would like to ask the permission of Mr. Christi Agapitou to invite first in the stand Professor John Soldatos. Usually it's ladies first. But, yeah, but I'm really sorry for that. With your permission, if we could proceed that way, and then you will follow just after. So, Mr. Soldatos.
Okay. So, why we are here today, we are talking about artificial intelligence, and my talk is about generative artificial intelligence in municipalities. This is due to the following 2 factors that have really changed the landscape in terms of artificial intelligence. Είχε ένα slideshow. Okay. So, I'd like to start with a fact that is going to blow your mind, right? In the last 2 years, the amount of digital data generated is many times more than the data generated from 2022 back to the beginning of humankind. So in just 2 years, we have more digital data than the beginning of the universe. Why? Everybody knows, right? Smartphones, social media, you no longer go to the desk in the municipality, but you fill in a form, so you got an exploding data generation, right? This is and of course you can imagine what is gonna happen in the next 2 years. Yes, you are right, what you are thinking. We're gonna have even more data being generated in the next 2 years. Plus, we have compute capacity to process this data. Today, as we speak, the company with the highest growing market capitalization is not Apple, right? Is not even Microsoft, is NVIDIA, right? Because they are building the compute capacity to process this. And this enabled this ChatGPT moment of artificial intelligence. We had artificial intelligence like, if you Google it, it's already 50 years old, right? Or even more, right? But now you have the compute capacity to process all this data, and you have a way, this chat thing, this generative AI, the large language models, that you can chat with the artificial intelligence. You can talk, you can speak to the artificial intelligence. And this makes it more accessible than ever before. Practically, before ChatGPT, if you wanted to use AI in your municipality, you needed a company, you needed somebody like me, right? An AI engineer to start talking with you, building complex systems and so on. Today, you can get a lot of benefit on your own, and this will become even more easier and even more accessible in the years to come. We have today measured how ChatGPT, Perplexity, and all these tools help all the knowledge workers, everybody that is working behind the desk and not on the field. So it's not a claim. We have measured this, and we know that it increases the productivity, right? So by adopting generative AI inside your smart city, inside your municipality, and training your people, you can start doing a whole range of things faster. Processing documents, explaining policies, drafting a policy document. And this is the productivity revolution that artificial intelligence is bringing to the world. And of course, smart cities, public administrations, municipalities, the government is not excluded from this. It's actually one of the most active actors. By the way, this is not just one study. The previous study was from MIT, also Harvard University with the Boston Consulting Group. They did another study and they measured more or less the same results, right? Like 40% improve of productivity, being able to do more things in less time, basically, and also improvement of quality, right? So you took the ChatGPT people and people working with the old way, and you compare their output. They asked humans to assess the outputs, and the quality was better. Now, what does this mean for a municipality? Basically, it means that you can adopt and you can deploy all these tools today. The tools we have today, with their imperfections, with their potential biases, with the hallucinations. But you can start adopting these tools today in a municipality for a number of use cases, right? Like if you're doing data entry and you want to produce some accurate descriptions. Like if you want a big policy document, a big guideline to be explained to you or to be summarized to you. Like if you want to draft a document or if you want to draft a policy inside the municipality, you can prompt the AI to do this, right? So major use cases is how you manage information, how you increase the efficiency of the administration, how you can give this chatbot to the citizen. You know, the Greek government has been pioneering with this GovGR chatbot. So we have a chatbot that I can ask where I can, renew my passport, right? I live in Vari. Tell me how do I renew my passport and what's the best way to do it, right? And you get an answer and you can even talk to it. So the same can happen to every municipality. And also if you want to plan things in the municipality and if you want to discuss your data, because we are not talking here interacting with the vast training data set of this tool. This is the first step. The natural next step is to have this tool interacting with your own data, right? So you pull the data, of the parking, right? Of the smart parking, of the fines. And you can ask and you can chat, right? And you can say, okay, what were the biggest, parking violations we had? What were the times? What were the places? And you can derive insights automatically from these chatbots from a lot of data for urban planning, for decision support, mobility, also even, public safety, emergency response plans, evacuation plans for climate crisis. Why? Whatever you write, all the plans, all the strategic plans you run on a document, you can upload them to this tool and then you can chat with the document, right? So what do I do in an emergency? What do I do on a fire, on a flood, right? And your LLM through your mobile phone can give you the answer, can process the answer to you without having, to call anybody in the municipality. Now you can really get benefit from all the existing tools, and other municipalities have started building their own tools. So there is a very long list of tools, but I just listed some here. So urban LLM, so there's a specialized fine-tuned LLM where you can chat with urban planning data within a city, right? Or in the Netherlands, the municipality, they build their own LLMs, which is fine-tuned on smart city data, and so on, and so forth. But you can get great benefit from the existing tools, the mainstream tools, that you can access either for free or at a small fee. Plus, if you combine this with automation, every day in municipalities, we spend a lot of time, copying things from one Excel to a database, sending an email, set up a meeting, keeping up a calendar. Half of our day, more than half, is like this, right? All of these things can be automated, right? So that we save time and we deal with the things that matter. Now, are there challenges? I don't want to repeat, right, the same things that were mentioned before. Of course, these tools, they can have their own biases, right? And they operate with human oversight, so with you on the look. So you are taking, in the end, of the decision. Plus, in the end, you are not chatting with ChatGPT data or DeepSeek data. You are chatting with your own data, right? So AI is becoming a commodity. As we speak, the best minds of the world are competing in China, in US, in Europe to bring the best model, the most knowledgeable model in the world, right? And this will become available to everybody, and the cost of this is going to go to zero. This is the trend. So it's going to be accessible to all. So what makes the difference? Your data. The data that you have from your citizens that you can collect on the desk, through the applications, through the electronic channels, through the smart city apps, through projects like AI4Gov. These are the things that you have to organize and make a difference. Now, what about security and data protection? This is important, right? You don't want your data to travel to a data center of OpenAI or DeepSeek and so on. This is again a problem which is solved, right? DeepSeek is open source. So you can get this model and deploy it inside your municipality and have the power of this model without the data leaving Vari Vouliagmeni ever, right? To some cloud. So it's possible to do this, and you have different options, different open source models to do this, and you can have your own infrastructure. And as I said, you can have even the compute infrastructure. There is a box like this, 3,000 euros, which can run the biggest artificial brains, the biggest data models available. Of course, reskilling and upskilling is a challenge. These tools work best if we know how to use them, if we know how to prompt them. Most importantly, if we know what are their limitations. This is very important, when they can be right and when they can be wrong, and when we have to be careful. So, in conclusion, 4 main things. The first is that today, generative AI is the most accessible form of artificial intelligence, and it will become even more accessible. So everybody can benefit. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be an AI engineer. Everybody can benefit. Every employee of the public administration of the municipality can improve the productivity and the quality of their work. We have options to address some of the data protection concerns through local deployments. It is message number 2. Of course, you need to invest, and I mean institutionally, the municipalities need to invest. The state needs to invest, right? So that employees become proficient with these tools, because when they do this, they're going to get an incredible productivity boost in a very short amount of time. And the 4th takeaway is these tools are not perfect, but we have to learn to live with the imperfect tools, with a human in the loop, and understand the merits and their limitations. We don't need the perfect artificial intelligence to start getting benefit. So these are the key takeaways. Good luck.
Thank you, John. Very interesting points, especially the 4 key takeaways we see in the last. What we may keep here is that the AI tools mature gradually, and we mature together with them. So it seems that the continuous training in various forms, formal, non-formal, informal, whatever, it is inevitable nowadays and from now on. Of course, there will be a learning curve, especially for the older people, for that. But as they mature, they will become much more user-friendly. And the second thing is that there are many tools out there coming from various corners of the world. Please keep in mind that we live in Europe. There is a regulation in Europe. It is strict. It may create some causes, some bad effects, let's say, to Europe, but what we described in the previous presentations regarding the ethical aspects, etc., is not respectable with all AI tools that we can find in the internet. So, especially in the cases of governmental organizations, there should be a second look before downloading something in the internet and use it.
Now all these tools are having the so-called ethical module, right? This didn't exist 2 years ago. Nowadays, when you try ChatGPT to get some, let's say, strange query, right? Some possible illegal query. Try a query like this, and you observe what answer you get. So this started with Claude, company Anthropic, which implemented first this concept. So every answer passes through an ethical system. Of course, the ethical values in the United States are a little bit different than the European.
Exactly.
But this is a known issue, a known problem, right? Also, we have the European model, which is actually very strong, right? It's called Mistral, it's French, it's really very fast, and it's comparable to GPT and DeepSeek.
Yeah.
It's a European model, of course, created from Europeans that have been in the US in the past, but still it's French, it's European.
In any case, we mature together with the tools, and I'm sure that at some point the market will identify its balance. So it is a period of maturity now. Thank you, John. And now I would like to invite Mrs. Christy Agapitou, Assistant Professor of Tourism Studies of University of Piraeus, to give her presentation entitled AI for Tourism and Local Governance.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, first of all, for the invitation, for being here and discussing for this very interesting project. Let's start. We all recognize the vital role of the tourism industry, not only in Greece, which contributes approximately 20% to the national GDP, but also as one of the most dynamic and influential sectors globally. Tourism serves as a key driver of both national and local development, significantly boosting economic growth and employment. We are also all aware of the impact and challenges we have already discussed that AI technology and its applications bring across various sectors, disrupting many sectors, including tourism. However, in this presentation, we will focus on the impact of AI on the tourism industry from the perspective of local governments. And I think that it is very good that I speak now, because I think that my presentation will combine the very interesting presentation of the representative of the municipality, Mr. Apostolopoulos, and Mr. Soldatos. You will see that I will combine all the issues already discussed. We know that advances in artificial intelligence offer new possibilities for enhancing tourist experiences, optimizing resource allocation, and promoting sustainable growth. Because my presentation will focus on how AI can improve tourist experiences and sustainable growth. AI encompasses technologies that enable machines to perform tasks such as learning, reasoning, problem solving, and language processing. In the tourism industry, AI-driven systems can analyze vast amounts of data from travel patterns to customer feedback and provide very interesting, actionable insights. Let's see some of the most important, let's say, common, let's say, applications of AI in tourism. We have chatbots and virtual assistants that offer 24/7 customer service, real-time information on bookings and itinerary planning. Recommendatory systems suggest destinations, attractions, and activities by analyzing customer preferences and needs. AI models forecast travel demand, identifying emerging hotspots, and help manage capacity constraints. Smart destinations use AI in combination of Internet of Things to monitor crowd movements, energy usage, and visitor behaviors. Data-driven decision-making enables local governments to develop tourism intelligent dashboard, allowing them to track trends in real time and make evidence-based policy decisions. Of course, this list is not exhaustive, it's indicative. There are many other applications, and since the market is dynamic, new applications and ideas are introduced every day. However, AI is not only about applications and new ways of doing things. AI has strategic importance because it can affect factors that are critical to remain competitive. These factors are operational efficiency, cost reduction, and personalized experiences. For example, how can we enhance tourist experiences? AI-powered recommendation engines help match tourists with experiences that align with their interests, leading to higher satisfaction and repeat visits. Hoteliers using AI-assisted services like facial recognition check-ins and voice-activated room controls improve convenience and service quality. As mentioned before, concerning the strategic importance of AI in tourism, because it can affect some factors, I have already said about efficient resource utilization. Destination management organizations use real-time data to control flow, mitigating over-tourism, a problem that is discussed the last years, and preserving local heritage. AI analyzes data to optimize infrastructure and resources for tourists and residents. One example is Amsterdam, which uses predictive analytics to distribute visitors away from crowded city center to less visited neighborhoods. Moreover, AI has the potential important impact in a sustainable growth. How? We can see here some example. AI-driven systems optimize energy usage in hotels and tourist attractions, reducing carbon footprints. AI can protect local ecosystems. How? It can monitor visitor behavior at sensitive ecological sites and regulate access in real time, helping with this way to minimize environmental damage. Moreover, municipalities can utilize insights from AI-driven analytics to draft policies that balance economic interests with environmental sustainability. We all know the case of Venice and the over-tourism problem they face. It has not been resolved. However, Venice has trialed a system using AI-based cameras and sensors to track tourist flows. This helps manage congestion in the historic city center and protect fragile heritage sites. However, for the successful implementation of these initiatives, the active involvement of local governments is essential. And it is really important, and I feel very happy that we have here the example of the municipality of Vouliagmeni. In collaboration with central authorities, local governance plays a crucial role in developing and implementing the appropriate policy frameworks and regulatory environment. And additionally, municipalities can design, install, and monitor the necessary infrastructure while ensuring the seamless integration of AI systems with the existing systems and broader digital strategy. In order to achieve sustainable tourism growth, we have to balance between economic development and environmental policies. There are two key issues in this. Which are these key issues? The regulatory oversight and public-private partnerships. In other words, governments can enforce ethical and responsible AI practices, ensuring data policy and preventing potential misuse and collaboration between tech firms and tourist boards. And local governments can drive investment in AI, creating what? Synergistic solutions for tourism. Since we're discussing about big and fundamental changes on how we operate till now, a key question is how we can integrate AI systems and realize all the above. Governments should start with pilot projects, investing in capacity building through training programs and actively engage stakeholders, including businesses, communities, and technology providers. We have here the example of Singapore, which is leveraging AI to improve tourism. And I will go on because I can see that I have only 3 minutes left, so I move on with the next slide. The integration of AI systems to be successful needs to be ethical, as already discussed, and inclusive. Governments, local governments, should ensure ethical AI practices by maintaining transparency in data usage and protecting personal privacy. Policies should be inclusive, engaging local communities and small businesses in AI-driven initiatives. This is one issue because, and here in Greece, since we have a lot of small, medium enterprises in tourism sectors, we see that a lot of them face a lot of problems, let's say, concerning the integration and moving on to the digital world and using AI. AI should also be aligned with long-term sustainability goals. Sorry, I'm here. And concluding, as we have seen, AI can offer significant advantages in the tourism sector by delivering personalized tourist experiences and promoting sustainable growth. It is critical, the role of local governance, as it can shape regulations, foster collaborations, and ensure that these initiatives, these innovations, align with societal and environmental values. Is it okay for the time? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for this presentation. This was a good chance to see that AI progresses and has started to to be exploited even vertically. For example, the ChatGPT we heard about before operates horizontally, but here the new LLM models are starting to be trained with data on collected for specific purposes on the sector of interest. So the next years we shall see many vertical ChatGPTs trained appropriately to serve the needs of the particular stakeholder. For example, the stakeholder here comes from the tourism industry. So there will be an LLM for the tourism industry. Hopefully we may see LLMs for governmental organizations for setting policy so as to adhere with various regulations and policy objectives on the tourism sector. So, thank you for this presentation, and now we shall proceed to the third session, to the third sub-session of the first session of the day. We shall proceed to the invited projects, and I shall invite Mrs. Elizabeth Calderon-Luning from the KT4D project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me help you.
Thank you. All right, thank you for inviting us here today and to let us be part of this conversation. Just to explain a little bit my background, because it feels a bit different than some of the other speakers. I'm from the Democratic Society. It's an organization working with fostering democracy in different kinds. We've existed for 20 years. We've done a lot of work when it comes to citizen assemblies, deliberative processes, participatory budgeting, these kinds of innovations within democracy itself. So not a technology expert or not a technology background, but really focusing on the democracy part today. And I'm getting nervous all of a sudden. Happens about every 10th presentation, and it's happening now. So bear with me. So I'm going to be speaking about one part of the KT4D project, but I just want to give you an overview of the KT4D project as such. We're looking at how AI and big data is affecting and can possibly have potential for the fostering of democracy. The project itself takes this cultural role or the cultural perspective as its main focus in the project, placing AI in a long history of other knowledge technologies such as the printing press or TV or radio, and seeing how that has changed democracy when democracy started to exist, and trying to place it within that kind of historical context. So, there. Just to give some oversight of the different kinds of outputs the project is generating, we have our key exploitable results, as do all European projects, assessing and addressing AI's impact on democracy. First of all, we have the Social Risk Toolkit, which provides a research-based insights into major societal risks posed by AI, ranging from ethical dilemmas to power imbalances and data governance. And the Social Risk Toolkit is built up of 7 thematic modules, and we're trying to build these outcomes into a user-centered and interactive toolkit. Second, complementing this, we have the governance framework and policy roadmap, offering concrete recommendations for ensuring that AI remains or starts becoming accountable to democratic institutions and public interests. We like to play in this project, and the third one is to support ethical AI development, where we're creating a social computing compass in form of a little bit of a gamified version of understanding what cultural bias, cultural discrimination, and cultural values has for implications in AI development. We're working also directly with creating better critical digital literacy by interactive AI literacy tools for citizens as a simulation game and interactive explainers. But now to what I'm about to speak about, which is the last 2 outcomes, which is the Digital Democracy Lab and Digital Democracy Lab Demonstrator. So we're going to call it the lab and the demonstrator. And both of these things are 2 parts of one piece. And these are designed to explore how AI can be meaningful meaningfully integrated into democratic deliberation. So with democratic deliberation, I'm speaking about this kind of context where citizens are together deliberating, citizen assemblies and so on. But rather than developing AI solutions to replace human decision-making, the lab and the demonstrator experiment with ways to enhance public participation and governance through AI-supported deliberation. So both of these tools are not a solution. We see them as a research tool to test AI's roles in participatory governance. The Digital Democracy Lab is designed as a one-day workshop in a deliberative setting where participants critically engage with AI. And the demonstrator is a digital platform that we've developed together with our technical partner, Hybrid Core, to integrate AI in the facilitation and testing the deliberative process while being as transparent as possible. There comes this word, transparency again. So the purpose is not to optimize democracy through AI, but we try to embed meaningful frictions into the AI and into the interaction during the day to make it really effective for democracy. We've developed in this experience something what we call democracy in the loop approach. We've seen it on several slides before, human in the loop. There's also society in the loop, but we have tried to develop a democracy in the loop approach to AI design, making transparency a key focal point, making the decision-making process within the technology itself as transparent and understandable as possible, and as critiquable as possible. With deliberative slowdowns, we're trying to stop or avoid automation of the democratic processes by intentionally designing friction points in the technology itself to make participants react on what the technology is doing and to ask themselves if this is really what they wanted to be doing. And agency. Participants are not passive users of an AI system. They actively shape how AI is used and challenges its assumptions. So we put these two designs, so the lab and the demonstrator, into practice through 4 use cases across Europe. The first one was held in Brussels, where we were engaging with policymakers. And here we focused on AI's role in policy and governance, where we had policymakers, civil society organizations, and researchers, both from the AI field, but also from the democracy field. And the discussions revealed one key challenge, of course. AI's lack of transparency makes it difficult to integrate into democratic decision-making without proper oversight. Participants emphasized that AI-driven policy tools must be contestable and explainable, so going beyond just transparency. Krakow and Madrid were 2 use cases focusing on citizens. In Krakow, we were working with students. In Madrid, we had cyber volunteers from a volunteering network. And here we had the full scale of the Digital Democracy Lab and Demonstrator, and focused a lot on digital literacy and trust in AI-driven decision-making. Here it was really interesting to see that there was a big tension between digital literacy and democratic literacy. When you had real, deep digital knowledge, understanding not only the tools and the devices, but actually understanding the socio-political structure behind them, then it was easier to engage on the democratic level. If you were less knowledgeable about the tools or about digital literacy, then you were more inclined to do user experience, trying to fix the technology on the surface. In Dublin, we engaged software developers and technologists focusing on AI's role in democratic innovation. And here, the main takeaway was that AI systems must be co-designed with democratic values in mind. So there were some key insights in what's coming out of this. This just happened. The last one was in November last year. But several key insights about how AI interacts with democratic deliberation have come out. Facilitation matters more than the technology. One of our biggest findings was that AI cannot replace human facilitation in democratic spaces. In every use case, the role of the facilitator was essential in shaping how AI supported deliberation. We also needed to be aware that the moment we were integrating any digital technology into the deliberative process, we are also substituting something else. And we have to be not only aware, but very explicit about what we're substituting. What are we taking out of the deliberative experience? And is the use of an AI in this situation actually adding a value or being more disruptive? As I already mentioned, the democracy and literacy, democratic literacy versus digital literacy, while we focused a lot on digital literacy, we found that democratic literacy is just as important. It's not enough for participants to understand how AI works. They need civic awareness to critically assess AI's role in shaping democratic decision-making. And this was especially clear in Madrid and Krakow, where participants were highly engaged in debating the broader implications of AI beyond its technical functions. For us, as coming more out of the design realm and democratic design realm, the productive imperfections, so the meaningful frictions, were really a positive part in this process. We deliberately embedded frictions and slowdowns in the Digital Democracy Lab to disrupt seamless AI interactions. Why did we do this? Because seamlessness discourages critique. When technology feels neutral or invisible, people tend to trust it uncritically. Or even worse, in a deliberative setting, they feel stupid because the product or the outcome or the output of the AI sounds so perfect that you have nothing to add. And this is, of course, not what you want to have in a deliberative setting where you want people to be sense-making together. Transparency is essential for trust, of course. And here I think for us, the biggest question is, what does transparency actually mean? When does it actually mean understandability, questionability, criticability? What do you do when you have understood something is wrong or is working in a way that you don't want it to work? You have to be able to change it. So we're going to be standing over there in the back, and we would really like to exchange more with you around these questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth. I see that there are a lot of complementarities between our projects, and I think that we should discuss further on how we could exploit between each other some of the solutions we develop so as to cure these common issues we see out in the society. Apart from the complementarity, it is obvious also in the KT4D project that human is and should stay in the loop in the design and development of AI systems. This is inevitable, and although there are there's a lot of speculation outside that AI will replace personnel. Okay, it may replace some particular skill sets, but it will require new skill sets from professionals. So reskilling and upskilling is inevitable, especially if we take into account also the objective of the European Commission to have around 20 million ICT professionals in Europe by 2030. Currently, we are in 9.5 million, and the 2030 is only 5 years away. And I'm sure that just before a few years, 1-2 years before the 2030, this objective will have changed from 20 to 40 ICT professionals equipped with advanced digital skills. So this need will rise exponentially. Well, thank you, Elizabeth. And now I would like to invite to the podium Mr. Ioannis Evstathiou from Novelcore, representing the Orbis project.
Thank you. You're welcome. Hi, everyone. My name is Yannis Evstathiou. I work in the company Novelcore. I think we have seen fantastic things here today. I would like to thank you for inviting me here. Since summer, I'm working on the project Orbis, that, as the title suggests, is about augmenting participation, co-creation, trust, and transparency in deliberative democracy. Let's see what all this means. Initially, the users are using the Orbis portal, where all of the platforms are connected. We have 3 different platforms: the Polis Orbis, Because, and Democratic Reflection, and this is where they engage in discussions for deliberative purposes. These platforms are getting data from the Orbis toolkit that we have implemented, and consists of 4 different modules, which are the argumentation mining, the explanation generator, the feedback aggregation, and policy making and collective decision making, that is, policy recommendations. We also have 6 pilots, which are the DCF, with the subject reimagining the building blocks of democracy, as well as the teens of democracy. We have SEPs, who have the young thinkers and EU decision makers, RIE, with Future for Citizens, RDE. Unfortunately, my Italian is not very good, but I know that it is about urban challenges within the city of Milano, and PDE, that is for Alliance for Development in the Western Greece. The first module that I would like to talk to you about that we have implemented is the feedback aggregator. The feedback aggregation collects all of the arguments that are based on a particular topic that has been discussed, and it's either in favor or against. It's cleaning them, transforming them, and then we are performing clustering. That means it's creating different groups based on all of the different thematic unions that reside within the discussion. It also suggests the optimal number of clusters. That means the optimal number of these groups to the users. And for each of the clusters, we have a particular title that has been generated, a summary, as well as keywords and key phrases, just to provide to the user a quick overview of what's happening without them having to read through the whole discussion. The feedback aggregation has the extension that we call knowledge graph semantic enrichment, where we actually, using LLMs, we take the triplets out of the text, and by triplets I mean entity, relationship, entity, which form the knowledge graph. We also perform named entity recognition in an ontological fashion in order to provide labels to each of those entities. And for all of our entities, we have this table that you can see on your right-hand side, which provide external information as to which of those, as to what each of those entities refer to. This is where we can see the label, the description, the ID, and the tag information that is coming from Wikidata. The second module that has been implemented is the policy making and collective decision making. This is where the feedback aggregation provides the results to an agent, and in particular, the argument summary. This argument summary is coming from the cluster, so it's the cluster summary, along with a policy summary, which is optional. Policy summary can be or cannot be. It doesn't really matter, because the agent is going to understand and provide recommendations to the policymaker as to how they can improve a given policy or a current policy based on the argument summary from the citizens. So based on how the citizens participated in the discussion, what kind of opinions they expressed, etc., it provides those recommendations in order to improve the policy. And the example can be seen on the right-hand side with these 5 different points. Here we can see an example as it is visualized on the Because platform that we will discuss and we will also demonstrate later. We can see that the policy recommendations are visualized on the left-hand side. We have the list. On the right-hand side, we have all of the individual clusters with all of the keywords and key phrases, as well as the related posts, again, to help the user identify what is the context behind the cluster or the discussion without them having to read through all of them, and the summary. The third module that has been developed is the argumentation mining, where within the text, claims and evidences are analyzed, identified, and tagged correspondingly. As a second level, premises and claims are also tagged, and what's important here is that we can also identify which premise supports which claim, or the opposite, which premise is opposite to the particular claim. As a fourth module, we have implemented, that is currently in progress, the explanator generator, which of course promotes the trust, transparency, because its goal is to explain the results from the previous modules to the user in order to understand better and feel more familiar, more comfortable, if you wish, with all of the different modules and the results that are presented in each of the visualization platforms. What explanation generator really does is it is based on the attention of the models that is using, and by attention we mean that each of the words provide a different magnitude, a different weight, if you wish, to the actual result. So based on the on the heaviest, let's say, semantically words, it's trying to put those in order, in such order that the explanations come first from those. Along with these modules, there is also an analysis that is called conflict mediation that is running and consists of 3 steps. The first step is the identification of potential sources of conflict that these people have analyzed and studied within different online deliberation paradigms. The second step is to identify within those which were the red flags, to say, which were those cases where the presence of sources of conflict were evident. And the third step was to propose conflict prevention tools within our platform and within generative AI. Here we have a high-level overview of what the system actually does, where on the left-hand side we can see that the pilot users for now visit the website where they can register. They are being redirected to the pilot page, which in turn redirects them to each of the 3 deliberation platforms. And those deliberation platforms are visualizing results from our Oldbase toolkit. Speaking of the deliberative platforms, I would like to study them now individually. The first one is Polisorbis, where the main scope is the survey research. The second one is Because, that is based on structured discussion on positions. And the third one is quite different and is based on what they call reflection cards that we will see in more detail in a moment. Because interface is presented now to us here, as we can see on the left-hand side, we have the synopsis, the summary of the actual discussion, with the position that each of the citizens can create based on a particular discussion. Right below, we have the arguments that are either against or for this particular position. And on the right-hand side, as we can see, we track all of those positions within the actual discussion. That's the main idea, but everything else I will try to show you in the demo later as well. The democratic reflection that is quite different is based on the reflective cards that simply mean during an online discussion, imagine, there are particular time points where the users click through their mobile phone, because it is an app, a particular card that expresses their opinion or their sentiment as it comes to the particular moment of the conversation. What they feel, for example, when the speaker said something, or tried to express an idea on that moment. So in the end of the discussion, all those are added on top of each other, and we can analyze them and see on each particular timeline, on each particular time step, which was the majority of the sentiment, what was the majority, excuse me, of the sentiment for that particular time point. What would the people think, in other words? Polis Orbis is mainly based on real-time analysis and has this very illustrative fashion of providing the people with the statement and what are the feelings. These gray areas that you can see here, a lot of the people who support that, the red are negative, the neutral are, excuse me, the red are, yes, the negative, and the neutral are the gray areas. All in all, in these platforms, the two, Polis Orbis as well as Because, the results from machine learning and from the 4 modules that I mentioned earlier can be visualized now as an example in the right-hand side, where we can see graphically how the clusters are formed. These clusters are the thematic unions that reside within each of the discussions. We also have some data analytics that we will see later. And of course, the summary that is on the bottom, which explains in a quick fashion to the user what this discussion is about. This is one of the main elements. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Stathiou. It seems that the tools that Orbis has produced seem to be quite powerful when the data are in a text format. And I'm sure that governmental organizations have huge bunches of such type of data that could be facilitated in, that could facilitate decisions. So, we have a few minutes now for some questions in these in these 4 presentations, 2 from our experts and 2 from the invited projects. So, any questions?
A bit of technical. So I saw in the feedback aggregation slide that you use LLMs. Do you have a specific one that you use?
This is actually a very good question. We have tried many. We have figured out that you can get different advantages from each of those individually. So I have now to contact our tech team in order to actually answer this question, but we have used mainly most of the typical ones, like Claude and GPT and the French that was mentioned earlier, Mistral, thank you very much. So yes, I think that each one of them is more capable when it comes to one perspective, perhaps less to the other, but what we really needed here is something that can understand the semantics of the text and provide results based on that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. George?
If we have time, I have two questions for Professor Soldatos and Professor Agapitou. But I will start with Professor Chrysagapitou. You showcased to us several different use cases where AI has already been utilized in Venice, in Amsterdam, in Singapore, so in major cities, major tourist attractions areas, and etc. But what about Greece? What is the case here in Greece? How the different stakeholders in the tourist domain can also leverage the potential of AI? What are the challenges? What are the key uptakes that they should have in their mind in order to leverage AI-driven tools, and also to kind of give more context to this? Also, we have reports from the Institute of Greek Tourism Confederation, Greek Tourism Confederation, etc., that highlight this need, this demand for the Greek tourism. So,
thank you very much for the interesting question. As already mentioned, tourism is very important for our country. Its contribution to the national GDP is very good, and we see last years that Greek tourism is making really good, but the competition is really something that we have to take into consideration. What I want to say that the global market is increasingly driven by data and technology. So we have to use all these AI tools, but in order to have the significant advancements of AI tools, we have to, let's say, overcome some implementation barriers. These implementation barriers have to do, for example, with infrastructure gaps. What we mean by that? We have a study from Deloitte concerning the Greek digital readiness, and this report indicates that small, medium enterprises in the tourism sector face a lot of digital infrastructure problems. At the same time, private and public partnerships play a key role in trying to use and have all the advancements of AI. One example is, let's say, to be a partnership between private and public sector concerning financing, or sharing infrastructure in order to reduce cost. Another implementation gap that we can and we have to overcome is the gap concerning the skills. Unfortunately, we hear a lot of important stakeholders in tourism saying that we have a lot of jobs to offer in Greece, but unfortunately we don't have the people that can come and let's say go our tourism sector go better. So an important issue here is try to make, let's say, partnership between universities, as here I am a representative, let's say, of the tourism studies of the University of Piraeus. So we have to exploit all the knowledge that is creating not only in the University of Piraeus, but all the other universities. And we should gap and we should collaborate between the business sector and the academic community. So another, let's say, another suggestion is to make the collaboration between the technical firms, the tourism sector, and the universities. And of course, as already mentioned, it is important the collaboration between the local governments and central authorities. A lot of steps have been made on this direction, we have to say, the last years in the tourism sector. And we see that there is a collaboration between local authorities and local governments, but still we have to do a lot and very quickly because the competition is very high. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before proceeding to the second question, just to check if there are more questions from to speed up, and then you can come back. So.
Thank you all for your presentations. Actually, the question is from Ms. Loning. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Your project actually sounds very interesting, and it's closer to at least my expertise, which is not technical at all. And I would love to discuss a bit further on this later. But for now, you mentioned that in the Democracy Labs you tested some AI applications with the participants. What kind of applications were there? Were there existing applications in governance that maybe the citizens already use, or how did you approach that?
Thank you. No, we developed one. We developed the Digital Democracy Demonstrator, which is a platform based on a GPT, on ChatGPT, but then augmented with RAG, now let's see, retrieval augmented generation, and so on and so forth and blah. I think for me, the most important part of this was to really open up the platform, and this is something that was really interesting to do in collaboration between us as democracy designers and the technical team, of seeing what does it actually mean to open it up. So when we're creating profiles, when we're profiling the people in the room, for example, of gauging their interest, how exactly is the technology understanding those profiles, and how are they using those profiles to then generate an output for that specific group, for example. We also opened up the data sources that we use to train that specific model, which we, for example, used newspaper articles, policy papers, and peer-reviewed research articles to say, okay, this is the data that the GPT can use to give you an answer. What kind of data do you actually want it to be used? So these are the different kinds of meaningful friction points that we built into the technology to be able to actually democratically then negotiate what data do we trust to give us a help or an effort in this. So yeah, that was like the opening up of the metabolism. But the demonstrator is a piece of our own technology.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we expect one question for Mr. Soldatos.
It's not mandatory.
It is your turn.
I have answered a lot of questions.
So, George.
Okay. Of course, I have lots of technical questions.
One.
For Mr. Evstathiou, but
the rest in the break.
For the break, exactly. But as mentioned before, I have something also to ask to Professor Soldatos. It's a twofold question. Put at first, in order to link also with the answer from Professor Agapitou, putting on top the hat of professor, and with your great expertise in the academic field, on the universities and etc. What are the challenges that are posed by generative AI, especially with regards to the young population, especially with regards to the students? Because we have seen also lots of papers, lots of research works with regards to the cognitive skills and maybe some challenges that are posed from the wide use of generative AI from the students, especially in the context of the universities. This is one thing, and the other one is with regards to the utilization of generative AI, specifically from municipalities, specifically from public authorities and services. How we have seen in your presentation four takeaways, but what is the most crucial one in order to proceed? Local deployment of LLMs, of generative AI, upskilling, initially training of the public servants, and etc.
The first one is the million-dollar question. It's very difficult to answer this question. And first, I'm going to generalize it. It's a broader question given today that we have these tools. We have a tool that can write an essay, right? It can write literature review. It can solve an equation. You've got an equation. Imagine the most complex exam, the mathematics Olympiad exam, right? Something which is for genius, right? And you give it to these models, to the reasoning models, and they can solve it. Now, given these capabilities, what do humans, okay, students, but then also professionals, somebody who works in a municipality, need to know? What do they need to learn? It's really a very difficult question, because you cannot really say you don't need to know how to write, right, an essay, right? It's not so easy. Or you don't need to know how to research, because these tools, in just 2 minutes, they do the research that you need, 1 year to do. This is the reality today, not in the distant future. So it's a very difficult question. It's a question with a strong policy and political dimension. So this is the policy of the future. This is what the ministers of education should be discussing today, and also academics and their advisors and so on. It's also a societal question, and of course it's also an economical question. So it's a very complex question. I don't have the answer, to be honest. I have a fear, and my fear is not that we won't have jobs and that AI will replace all the jobs and we will be unemployed. This is not my fear. This is what most people say to impress. My fear is that we might end becoming stupid. If I don't have to think about anything because I can ask the computer to do it, right? We are heading to the era of intent-based computing. I'm going to tell the computer what I want. Book my vacation, book my trip, build my startup, solve any insanely complex problem, and it's gonna solve it, right? So this is the future of AI. So if this happens, what keeps me mentally awake, mentally alive? Because it's not about in the university, it's not about the differential equation, right? Or the linear algebra. We never use this at work, right? We went through so complex mathematics at school, at university. I'm working, like 30 years. Nobody ever told me, solve a differential equation, right? So in this sense, it's useless, but it was something that kept me mentally awake, right? So that I could solve other problems. Now, if this is not needed, what keeps you mentally alive? So this is the answer to the first question. For the second question, I think the value will come from your data. So if I was in Vari Vouliagmeni, I would launch a project. Okay, AI4Gov is great, but I'm in a project to organize my data, to see what are the touch points that I get data from my citizens and how I can keep this data, maintain it, organize it, because this is where the value will come from. So we are going to have insanely well-trained models. You know, these models, they know things, right? So they know nothing, but statistically, they can understand that Vari Vouliagmeni is a place where rich people live. It can understand that it's a place where people buy golden visas. It can understand that it's a place that has more challenges in the summer, I don't know, traffic challenges in the summer than in the winter. The model knows all this, right? So these models come with a great knowledge already, right? At least, you know, with the way they work. And then you take your data and you make them more intelligent and more customized for your problems at hand. So what a municipality should do is two things. Organize their data, manage their data, also find ways to get more data. Okay, I give you Wi-Fi, but I want you to give me something back, right? To have Wi-Fi everything when you walk around in Vouliagmeni. And the second thing is to upskill and to reskill the people. If you see who is using this tool, it's a very powerful tool, and even if you see United States, very few people are using them, right? Which is a missed opportunity. So I would do those two things.
Thank you. Do we have more questions? One last question.
I actually have a question for Mr. Evstathiou. My name is Maria Kitharioti. I'm from the Hellenic Ministry of Tourism. I'm head of the Department of Tourism Policy Planning, and seeing your project, I was wondering at some point if you could explain how policy-making module functions without a provided policy, and how does it take under consideration things like national legislation, barriers, possible barriers, or how we have interconnection among ministries?
Yes. So the model, whenever the policy is not provided, is using its training data. Given that large language models have already trained on massive amount of data, they usually know what the policy is about without someone having to provide this. Because we give it some hints, for example, some keywords, the titles, so it's quite accurate as to understand what is it that you want from it when you are saying that I don't have the policy, but what do you think the policy would be? Do you know where the policy is, in other words? So from that perspective, there are some now small cases where the policy, there isn't a policy at all. So the model is trying to understand without the policy, without having trained on a policy, what the policy would be, and this is where it is only based on the arguments that the citizens are making. So all of those now services that you mentioned and anything else has been embedded within its training data, so we are based exclusively on that. Thank you.
Can I add something here? Because I think our projects are so deeply connected, but we've not spoken before, at least like on our level. I think it's really interesting to see these different kinds of platforms and how we're engaging or using AI in this. For me, the question behind it lies in what do we want from these deliberative sessions with citizens? Are we like seeing this as a polling process? And I think this is for me, it's such an important part of saying that if we substitute like deliberation in a room together, we're substituting the actual us understanding each other's different points of views. And then it becomes a polling. And polling is super vital, for sure, to know what are people actually wanting, what are the main problems. Not everybody has to discuss everything. But I think this is like the big question is like this tension between optimization, efficiency, which is a huge win, possible win, but what is actually efficient or effective for a democratic process. And that these two things are totally different. And I think to be able to combine this and to see, and I think this is in the same with education of the question that you had before, what are we going to learn? What is effective for a nice life in a nice society? Is it that everybody can know or not know anything because they just make the machine know something and the machine is not knowing either because it's just regurgitating other people's information or existing knowledge and making it into a pattern? So like really looking at what are we trying to make effective, and is AI really doing that, or is it just making it efficient? And I think these are the unsolvable problems, or the problems that we're working with right now, right?
Okay, thank you. Now it is time for a break of 20 minutes for refreshment, socializing, continuing your questions, and then we will be back for the pitches and visiting the tools at the backstage, the booth. Thank you.
Nice to meet you too.
Hello, my name is Fabiana Fournier, and I am a senior researcher at the IBM Research Lab in Haifa, Israel. Today, I will briefly present the work carried out by my team that relates to the question whether AI can explain eGov services. Let's start with an example. Imagine you need to submit your tax refund application online. This slide shows a graphical figure of the tax refund process. To your surprise, a few minutes after you submit your application, you get an answer that your refund application has been rejected. Immediately, you ask yourself, why was my tax refund application rejected? However, you don't get any satisfactory explanation from the system to your application rejection. Why? Because today's systems can only partially handle answers to questions about process outcomes and
Well, we wait for a few more people to come from outside so as to start. Well, thank you for coming back after the break. Now we proceed to the second session of the day. We shall have four short pitches. These will operate as an introduction so as to shorten a lot the learning curve towards what you will see in the booths. In the booths at the back of the room, you can see the tools that the AI4Gov project has developed. So, as an introduction, we shall have one pitch per tool. The first one is a video from Fabiana Fournier from IBA Research, Israel. It is entitled, "Can I explain eGov services?"
Hello, my name is Fabiana Fournier, and I am a senior researcher at the IBM Research Lab in Haifa, Israel. Today, I will briefly present the work carried out by my team that relates to the question whether AI can explain eGov services. Let's start with an example. Imagine you need to submit your tax refund application online.
Excuse me, we have
This slide
to
shows a
correct
graphical
this.
figure of the tax refund process. To your surprise, a few minutes after you submit your application, you get an answer that your refund application has been rejected.
Well, I'm sorry for this delay. We have tested before and it was working properly. So let's give 1 or 2 minutes to see if we can fix it. Otherwise, we shall proceed to the next presentation and we'll come back afterwards. Fabiana, do you hear me?
Yes, I do. It looked very well from online. I don't know what the problem is, but
The problem is that the sound here is very low and we cannot hear anything.
Oh, really?
So we shall play the video and we shall have you online. So should I start the video now?
What do you mean you have me online? Do you want me to speak?
Yeah, we want you to speak. So should I start the video?
So,
okay, I'm starting the video.
1 second, I need to prepare. 1 second.
Yeah.
Spiros, maybe we can do another round. I will check for the presentation in my laptop.
Okay, we can do that, but we shall play the video here and you shall be speaking. Or you can share screen. Share your screen.
Okay, let me check. Maybe you can go to the next presenter and I will check for the deck, okay? Because I was not prepared.
Thank you, Fabiana.
It should be fine with the sound. I don't understand. Okay.
Okay, so I invite to the podium Alenka Jusek from the Joseph Stefan Institute to give a presentation entitled Detecting and Mitigating Bias in Rare Decisions. So bias in the health sector. Very interesting.
Thank you, Spiros. I'll just share my slides. Okay. Good day to everyone. So I come from Jožef Stefan Institute, which is the largest research institute in Slovenia, from the Department for AI, and we are a technical partner and a pilot in this project. And I will share information about the tool, but before going to tool, I just want to for you to understand a little bit of context of what we are doing and why we are doing this, and then I invite you to my booth later. So under JSI, there is also International Research Center on Artificial Intelligence under the auspices of UNESCO, so-called IRCAI, which has some specific tasks into research, advocacy, capacity building, and dissemination of information about AI. And one of the things that we are doing under IRCAI is that we are developing different observatories when one can understand specific topics with bringing heterogeneous information, heterogeneous data into one space. And we're doing this for the SDG observatories, so to really understand what's happening in the context of SDGs. One of those observatories that we are working on and we've developed some time ago is called Rare Disease Observatory, which does exactly that. It brings information from different aspects, from global news, from social media, from scientific publications, and it helps to it helps researchers, parent advocates, and other people to really understand what's happening with the knowledge on rare diseases in real time. It's obviously also using we're using some AI to do that. And because rare diseases, as the name says, are quite rare, it's really crucial to have data not just on local, regional levels, as the data usually is stored in some silos, but really have it on a global level so that then further knowledge can be built from that. And to have the data from at the global level, it's really important to understand what are the potential biases, so where this data is coming from, and most importantly, where this data is not coming from, so that we can also collect the data from maybe those regions of the world. To kind of build on top of the Rare Disease Observatory, we aim to create a tool that can detect bias in the data that is coming, specifically from the patient-reported outcomes. And as this data is mostly coming from the Western countries, and we want to really understand and quantify what is the bias, where is this data missing, to be able to then inform policymakers to collect that data and prevent bias then going into the system as such. And here are two snapshots of the tool that we've created. So the tool is based on the data from GenIDA registry, and you can go and browse through different rare diseases, and then it will quantify for you and visualize where that data is missing. And if you want to test this in real time, then you're welcome to my booth, and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Alenka. Rare diseases are a big question mark for the medical community and the pharmaceutical market, and a lot of money are invested in this direction, and in many times with public funding also, as not many people have rare diseases, but the people that have typically suffer a lot, because let's say that it is, in many cases, it is not a good investment for the pharmaceutical sector. Anyway, Fabiana, are you back with us? Or should we proceed to the next presentation?
Give me
One more minute, Spiros. I'm trying to find the
Okay,
movie.
we proceed with the next presentation,
Yes,
so you have
yes,
5 more minutes.
yes.
So
Thank you.
you're welcome. I would like to invite Mr. Kostis Mavrogiorgos from the University of Piraeus. Kostis will give us a presentation entitled AI-enabled smart and sustainable ecosystems.
Thank you, Spiros. Hello, everyone. So, fancy title there. Let's see what we have. Let me share my presentation. Perfect. So, hello again. My name is Kostis from UPRC. Let me, okay, because we have those issues here. Okay. So, we are going to talk about briefly AI-enabled smart and sustainable ecosystems, and I'm going to briefly present the AI4Gov tools and solutions, which you will then have the chance to test in the booth in the back. So, starting from definition, let's say, how can AI support smart and sustainable ecosystems? So, it all comes down to what we both Mr. Magnas and Mr. Soldato said, data. Okay, so through the utilization of the corresponding data, which they may come from IoT devices, sensors, we can then train AI models to do the job that we want them to do. And of course, then we can also fine-tune those models based on new data so that we have more accurate results. So this is pretty much it, how you can do it. As for the AI4Gov and what we propose. So basically, all the tools and the models that we have developed, they are under the umbrella of the visualization workbench, as we call it. So imagine it as the front end of the platform, where you have access from your browser or even from your mobile phone. And this is the gateway to all the tools and the models that we have developed in the context of the project. We have developed specific AI models, as we say there, that we have trained them on data retrieved from sensors for efficient waste management, traffic management, and water management. And also, we provide recommendations based on the results of the said models. Okay, quite logical flow. Now, diving into a bit of more details. So I see the videos are playing, so that's nice. With regards to the waste management scenario, we have, let's say, 3 functionalities that we have developed. One is, as you can see on the left, on the right, the routing optimization. So we have utilized data provided from the municipality of Varevoulavliagmeni from the smart bins that they have installed there. Those smart bins contain some sensors that measure the volume of the garbages. And we have developed a model that not only predicts the fill level of each bin in the future for the next, let's say, 24 hours, but we have also developed a routing algorithm that's capable of creating an optimized route for the garbage trucks. So the best route, let's say, that each garbage truck should follow in order to minimize its operational costs, for example, the fuel that is needed, and the distance that it needs to cover, let's say. The other tool that we have developed here is the Check My Bin. Actually, it's a functionality which is also based on those data, which is mostly focused on the citizens. So let's say that I live in Vouliagmeni and I have a smart bin outside of my house, and I would like to know when this bin will be emptied. So I can ask the chatbot about this specific bin. I can select it from the map over there, and I can have an answer about that. And not only that, but I can also provide some feedback. So if I see that the bin is full and it is not scheduled to be emptied, I can notify the municipality and say that, okay, you should empty this. And one last thing about the waste management scenario is what Dimitris showed, the predict flows functionality. Now, I know that this is mostly related to tourism, but we utilize data from the waste management. That's why I have placed it here. So we use the data from the smart bins to predict the fill rate of the smart bins per areas of the municipality. And in order to predict the number of visitors that each area will have, because the main hypothesis here is that the more garbage you have and the faster the bins fill, you have more people in this area. So that is that. As now for the traffic management use case of the municipality, again here we have currently 3 functionalities. The one is what also, actually all of them, Dimitris has already presented them to you. But again, the one functionality is with regards to the traffic violations, where we predict where and when a specific traffic violation might occur based on data from traffic tickets issued by the municipal and Hellenic police. And based also on those data, we have also implemented 2 functionalities, mostly related to citizens. So the check traffic density functionality and the check road safety functionality. Both of those Dimitris had presented earlier, so I will not bore you more with that. You can also check them in the booth. And last but not least, as for the water management scenario and the use case of the Pitathon de Badajoz, we have implemented 2, let's say, I would say, machine learning models. The one is related to the drinking water and actually the quality of the drinking water. So there we are going and we predict, for example, the pH or the chloride level for a water sample, let's say. And one main novelty that we also have here is this explainability report that you will see in a sec, this nice plot with the colors, which actually explains to you, in green color you can see the data features that actually affect the prediction, and in red color you can see the features that actually do not play a crucial role. So if you didn't provide the corresponding values, the prediction would remain the same. So this is actually something, in technical terms, quite new. It didn't exist. This was mostly for classification problems, and together with IBM, this is done in regression, just a parenthesis with that. And as for the sewage water, we don't focus on the quality, but more to the energy, let's say, and actually in the second plot that you can see there, we try to predict the energy consumption of the wastewater treatment plants following a similar approach. So all those are very nice. I guess that the main question here is why should you use it and how you can do that. So first off, it's not that we developed it, but okay, it's easy to use. We have also gathered much feedback from our pilot partners about that. So we know that it's easy to use, it's adaptable, it's user-friendly, it's of course explainable, as you also saw with the cases of the Pitathon de Badajoz, and is citizen-centric. If you would like to use it on your, let's say, use cases on your premises, what you should do, so first off, you should fine-tune the models on your data. This is all where it starts. Okay, so we have the solution, we have the whole flow. You just need to provide your own data. When it comes to the deployment, it's plug and play. We're playing around with Docker containers, so it's quite easy to deploy it on your infrastructure. And what I present to you here and what you are going to see in the booth if you visit me, let's say, all this beautiful stuff is already available, publicly available in this URL over there, where you can go on your own, register yourself in the platform, and play around. So you should do that. That's it from my side. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the booth.
Thank you, Kostis. And what do you charge for that? Well, as correctly Kostis said, these models are trained on particular data sets and can be adopted by everybody as soon as he or she has the data and prepare them properly so as to feed these models. This is a common approach, a common necessary procedure for AI models. For these particular cases, these were built according to the needs of the particular use cases. So before creating the services we just saw, there was a needs analysis in the particular areas, the particular organizations, identifying their actual needs, and based on that, these scenarios were identified, and the related KPIs and policy were defined, supported of course by their data, and then used to present results and support the policy making. Now I shall give 5 more minutes to Fabiana, and we'll go to Fabiana.
I am fine, Spiros. Yes, I think that maybe the best way will be that I will share the slides because it can be tricky to be at the same pace of the video. We can try, but as you wish. I found the slides. So.
Fabiana will share the slides. Okay, so you have your 5 minutes back, Fabiana. Please share your slides.
Okay, so I'm sharing. Let me know if.
Okay, we see your slides, and now they are in presenters mode. You can go.
Well.
Thank you.
Maybe you can hear from my laptop.
Fabiana, we don't hear you.
Fabiana,
okay. Now we hear you. Fabiana, do you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. The problem is that, let me see. 1 second. Because if I am going to presentation mode, so the voice is also played.
Fabiana, keep it this way and let's proceed so as to save some time. Okay, we can survive with that.
With no presentation mode?
With no presentation mode.
Okay, so let's start. So by now, I think that everybody knows that my name is Fabiana, Fabiana Fourneye. I am a senior researcher at the IBM Research Lab in Haifa, Israel. And I will really briefly present the work that my team carried out in the scope of the AI4Gov project that relates to the question whether AI can explain eGov services. And let's start with a simple example. Imagine you need to submit your tax refund application online. This slide shows a graphical figure that shows the tax refund process. To your surprise, a few minutes after you submit your application, you get an answer that your refund application has been rejected. Immediately, you ask yourself, why was my tax refund application rejected? However, you don't get any satisfactory explanation from the system to your application rejection. And why is that? Because today's systems can only partially handle answers to questions about process outcomes and conditions, as this involves several research challenges, such as, is it enough to consider the factors present in the data that correlate with the outcome? Is it possible to make sound explanations without understanding the causes affecting the outcome? Is it possible to turn all relevant knowledge into an explanation that users can understand? The IBM team in the AI4Gov EU project developed the situation-aware explainability, or SAX for short, methodology for business process explainability to specifically target these challenges. The main idea behind SAX is that to generate a sound explanation, we need to ensure the following. First, the system needs to express the business model constraints, such as the temporal order of the execution of the activities in the process. The system needs to include the richness of contextual situations that may affect process outcomes. For example, during holidays, we would expect delayed response times. The system also needs to reflect the true causal execution dependencies among the activities in the business process. To truly understand why something happened, we need to understand what caused the unfolding of a certain process execution. And lastly, the explanation should make sense and be interpretable to the user, so the user will trust the system. Situation-aware explainability tackles all these points. How does SACS work? SACS leverages different AI techniques. We apply machine learning to process mining techniques and XAI to express the business process model constraints. We apply complex event processing techniques to include the richness of contextual situations that may affect process outcomes. We apply causal AI techniques to reflect the true causal execution dependencies among the activities in the business process. And we apply large language models, or LLMs, such as GPT, so that the explanations will be provided in natural language and will make sense and be interpretable to human users. To address the final challenge of making explanations interpretable to users, SACS leverages the power of large language models such as GPT. The approach involves providing the LLM with a prompt that includes the question along various knowledge components related to the explanation, which also connect to the user challenge, to the other challenges that we previously presented. The LLM then integrates these knowledge components and generates a holistic response in natural language. Okay, so we have now LLM as a vehicle for blending, but how do we know if this is a good vehicle? If the explanation is good? The next step was to assess the quality of the generated explanation. To do this, we developed a dedicated scale consisting of eight dimensions with 3 questions per dimension. These dimensions were derived from surveys in the literature and adapted to the context of explainability in business processes. To validate the scale, we conducted a user study of 180 participants and 4 domains. We have the pizza delivery domain, parking fines, loan approval, and tax refund. The users were presented with different manipulations of our knowledge components. For example, one time we presented the user with a process view and a causal view, another time just a process view, a third time a combination of the 3 views, and they had to rate 24 questions related to our 8 dimensions. The goal was to test for fidelity and interpretability while taking also into consideration the aspects of trust and curiosity as perceived by the user. Our results show that the addition of knowledge components indeed improved the perceived fidelity of the generated explanation. However, in contrast to our initial hypothesis that the addition of knowledge component would improve both fidelity and interpretability, this was not always the case. The addition works towards improving the perceived fidelity of the explanation while compensating for the perceived interpretability. While our results clearly indicate that providing with additional knowledge can enhance the perceived fidelity, this effect may diminish entirely when the user has low trust in the LLM. It may also lessen when the user has limited curiosity about the problem for which the explanation is sought. So what next? We are now continuing our research in SACS in various directions, addressing questions such as, can AI replace the human in the loop in e-gov services? Can we use the survey to identify optimal AI models? To learn more about SACS, you can try our SACS for BPM open source library, and you can read our published papers. or you can, if you would like, we will be more than happy to be addressed by you by email. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fabiana. It seems that explainability may provide significant added value to the service, to the automated services that the governmental organizations can provide to the citizens, and these services would be credible enough so as, for example, here with the tax authorities, support the citizens to find a way so as to receive more money back from the tax authorities. I hope this will be the objective of the next tool. Anyway, any questions? No? So the last pitch. For the last pitch, I invite Xanthi Papageorgiou from Ubitech. Xanthi will present the policy recommendation toolkit we have developed and how it exploits blockchain technologies.
Hello, I'm Xanthi Papageorgiou. I'm from Ubitech, and I would like to talk about the topic of empowering citizens and policymakers through the integration of blockchain and the policy recommendation toolkit. And I will try to describe one topic related to the difficulties in transactions with public and private sector like banks. And the problem there is that you need any time to certify your identity. This means that you need every time to share your data in order to prove your identity and to share your data in many different channels, which means that your data are stored in many different organizational databases. And when one entity asks for a certification, you must provide your data through a third party, or you may ask, for example, your university to reissue your certification, and so on. Also, there are more limitations and difficulties in these transactions between citizens and banks and organizations. There is a single point of failure in which, if there is a dispute, it can be difficult to resolve it transparently. And from citizens' perspective, all transactions and all information regarding a transaction are kept remotely, and basically citizens have a little control of their data, and they have an uneven burden of proof when disputing this kind of transactions. One of the solutions to easily authenticate a document without the need for providing a bunch of documents again and again is the verifiable credentials. There are some points, for example, the issuer, the verifier, and the holder. The issuer creates credentials for the holder, and these credentials are signed by the issuer, and the proof is published in the blockchain. When a holder presents their credential or a part of their credential somewhere, the verifier can check the signature of the credential via the blockchain. This is the idea that we have implemented in the AI4Gov project, and all these issues, which involve both citizens and organizations, our idea is to integrate them into a decentralized blockchain architecture for transparency, and beyond that, for policy recommendation, voting, and AI verification, and so on. To this end, we have implemented a blockchain architecture for the needs of AI4Gov project, And we have a scenario that includes some aspects of this solution. We have one organization that has some documents or policies, like in the case of AI4Gov project. This organization can issue new policies or update some of them, but all these changes are trackable via the blockchain. And when we have a consortium of organizations who may want to supervise all this procedure, for example, to understand what changes happens on these policies and when, in order to have this transparency among the organizations, we can use this kind of models. Furthermore, there is a procedure in which these policies, these documents, and all this stuff, they can be voted or endorsed by or downvote this kind of policies among these organizations. In the next step, you may have connected organizations that involves other countries, for example, or different hierarchies like governments who may want to be informed about these policies. Another aspect is involved citizens in this procedure for transparency purposes, allowing them to be a part of all this blockchain infrastructure via a wallet to certify them, and also these citizens have the possibility to vote this kind of policies and this information. Also, another part is related to the AI, which may be biased or may be poisoned, and so on. And one of the goals of the AI4Gov project is to provide bias reports, and this can be anchored in the blockchain in the mean that an AI-based policy produced from a specific prompt has a biased report and it has been certified by a specific organization. And this is the overall architecture, the overall general scheme of supervision and voting. In AI4Gov project, we have some specific results regarding all these technologies. We have implemented a citizen's wallet based on these verifiable credentials. We have homomorphic encrypted voting mechanism in order to be sure that this voting mechanism is transparent and safe for the citizens. We have a policy recommendation toolkit in order to improve this privacy and security via a specific mechanism. And with this blockchain that facilitates data control on the part of the data subject via the mechanism of DIDs and verifiable credentials, we can do this in our project. You have the possibility to check these tools in the stands behind the audience, and we will be happy to explain more in our booth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Xanthi. It seems that these technologies just presented and applied, like the blockchain, will be our white angel in the near future that will protect us during our journey in the AI environment, as the threats are expanding with the same in the same degree like the data as presented in a previous presentation. So, with this short presentation, we close the cycle of presentations for today. Now you can visit the booths in the back of the room, where all of these tools presented today are presented in for a hands-on experience. You can play with the services. There are services for different roles, for different kinds of stakeholders. not everything, not a one-size-fits-all solution. So some of the services and the results presented are for citizens, some other for policymakers, some other for researchers, for public employees, etc., etc. Our colleagues are here to support you in these AI4Gov experiences. Thank you for your participation. Have a nice day.